So I really want to use this video to emphasize what was said on the last slide, and that's that the Industrial Revolution actually influenced World War I. So as countries became more developed, more and more factories started coming into existence, and this required more and more raw materials for the goods that they were making. Now, a lot of these countries already had the main raw materials, but as industry grew larger and larger, more of these materials were needed for manufacturing, more and more were needed, and even some materials that could not be found in these industrialized countries. And some of these things that they needed, these European industries needed coffee, tea, rubber, oil, and tin. But since they couldn't find these things in their homeland or on their home turf, they had to look elsewhere for these things. So what they did is they would establish colonies in other areas, meaning they would actually take over other areas and govern other areas in order to get these things to help with their industry. And as you may realize, well, when you take over another area, the inhabitants of that area are not always happy about that. So there's some tension there. And there's also tension that will increase between the industrialized country and the other countries, the other industrialized countries that want some of the same things, okay? So the increase of industrialization led to the start of countries taking over other countries or taking over other territories so that they can acquire more goods, more raw materials for manufacturing. All right, so that's a contributor to some of the rivalry and competition that would eventually lead to World War I. Another way that the Industrial Revolution contributed to the start of World War I is that there was a mass production of weapons. With all of these factories, it was now easier to make weapons. And when it's easier to make weapons, well, your army's stronger, so you are more willing as a country to go to war because you're confident that your country could beat another country. All right? So this is how the Industrial Revolution eventually led to the start of World War I. Now, there were many other aspects that contributed to the start of World War I, but the Industrial Revolution was sort of the very beginning of it all. Countries started becoming very powerful, they started becoming very confident in themselves, and they started acquiring other lands in order to build their power and to acquire the necessary raw materials for manufacturing in their countries. And that was a big start of sort of the staircase that led to World War I. All right, so what I'm going to have you guys do now is I'm going to have you check out a video, and this video is just right after this slideshow. And I posted this video because it includes more information about the Industrial Revolution than I presented in this slideshow. I just really wanted to use this slideshow to give you a little idea of what the Industrial Revolution was about, the countries that were involved in it, and how it contributed to World War I. The next video in this slideshow will go more in depth about the Industrial Revolution and will provide you with more information. But remember, the main takeaway of this slideshow is that the Industrial Revolution was one of the contributors to the start of World War I. All right, that's the most important takeaway. All right, go ahead and head over to the next video, and then there will be a worksheet with questions that I want you to answer after you see the very last video in this slideshow. Okay, so make sure you, if you have any questions, be sure to ask me. All right, bye.